Stephanie Milky here, aka KetoMOM, or often called mom, sis, Steffi, daughter, wife, aunt, and friend. Just like many of you, I carry a lot of titles. My favorite title is mom. I should probably say wife, which takes a lot of my time. But let's be honest, if you want to do something and do it well, you will make the time for it. Commitment is hard because we find ourselves overcommitted, but when you practice prioritizing, you will find out what is actually important and what you can let go. With the KetoMOM podcast, you will learn together how to manage our time, commit to the most important things in life, and I will equip you with the tools you need to feel qualified each step of the way. My name is Stephanie Milky, and welcome to the KetoMOM Secrets podcast. Good morning. Welcome to KetoMOM, or not KetoMOM because we're actually on personal pages as well. Good morning. My name is Stephanie. This is my amazing husband, Steve. And we're going through a book called The Power to Change, which we're actually super excited about. My husband is having great breakthroughs, incredible insight.
Thanks.
He's got a focus. You want to know something? Well, really quick, as you're tuning in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And it is going to be a really great, if you're watching live, it's a Monday. I actually love Mondays. We had an incredible weekend. My husband and my children, our kids, surprised me with a super fun whole birthday day. If you saw it, we shared a fun reel about a surprise party. I specifically said no parties, and they did not listen. And it was so fun. I felt super loved and super blessed. It was a really fun weekend, but we're to Monday, and I love Mondays. Do you love Mondays?
I love every day.
Oh yeah, I love every day too. But I really love Mondays. I love Mondays because I love a fresh new start to the week. I know it starts on Sunday, but Sunday is like a prep for Monday. I don't know. People get this mindset of it's Monday, but I'm like, it's Monday. I love it. So I don't know. It's a part of looking at your day and going, I get to, not I have to. So we're going through the book. I'm super excited. There's a lot of fun things happening. We've had a great weekend. I actually have been on the phone with a lot of you talking about we've got ketone sales. We've got a $1 keto club. We've got a lot of fun things going on. So it's been a really busy weekend, and it's going to be a busy, productive week. I don't like the word busy unless it's followed by productive.
It's pretty cool because not only has Stephanie been helping a lot of people online, but she's also planning on making a road trip. So I get to be her professional chauffeur for about 10 to 12 days.
Yes.
And so we're going on this big loop around the Northeast. I'd be fair to say the Northeast part of the United States. So if you want us to swing by, or if you want to join up at one of her many spots, it'd be great to have you there.
We will let you know where we're going. Just keep this in mind. We're actually going to be doing little parties. They're called Keto Life parties in different homes.
But I thought I had to eat keto.
No, we're not talking about the keto diet. We're talking about, we'll be talking about a lot of things, but we're talking about drinking ketones. We've got a great community. We're going to be talking about mindset. We're just going to be talking about you being the best version of you, which is actually the chapter that's called, what are you called? It's called to who?
So we can read this book and not eat keto as well.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes.
It's funny because there's been a lot of people who've asked like, well, I don't want to eat keto.
I don't want to follow your KetoMOM page. I don't want to eat keto. And I'm like, great, you don't have to. Most people don't do it, or they don't do it right.
Oh, it's so great. So how are you doing today on a scale of 1 to 10? How are you doing with this book on a scale of 1 to 10? How's
10
your day?
Being high,
if you want to give us
like,
a fire emoji or a heart. I will say this. I don't know when we started this book. Was it the 10th where I first opened the book?
I don't know.
We got a pre-screening of it from our good friends, Brian and Jenny, when we were down in Wellington, Florida. And I opened the book, and when I read the first few pages, I thought to myself, this book is going to change my life.
Yeah. So
I don't know if it's because I thought it, or I said it out loud,
or I
yelled across the room like, Stephanie, this is the next book we got to go through. But my intuition told me that this was going to help thousands of people. It was almost like the reminder that I had 8 years ago when I first got my first pack of ketones.
Yeah.
And I thought, Stephanie, if this stuff works, this is actually going to change thousands of people's lives.
True. You did say that with such intensity that I said, all right, we're doing the book.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah. You can say whatever you want.
Oh, I can? Well, you are 40 and you can do whatever you want.
I have been using that excuse.
Which I think is I like it actually. It makes me laugh. But you look at people in their lives and you're like, all right, they have a blueprint for success. We learned about that yesterday from our good friend Trey. He's talking about a blueprint for success. And so it's kind of like, if I'm going to make like this gigantic real estate deal, while I love my wife and I like what she has to say to me, or I actually take what she says to me and I apply it and I learn and I listen, she's not a master at real estate deals.
Right.
Right.
Zero. None. It would be terrible.
So she probably would be like, she would use her heavenly guidance and her all sufficient knowledge and her wisdom, because she's 40.
I say that about
everything. And she would give me some kind of an idea of like, all right, this is a good idea or this is a bad idea. But wouldn't it be better to take that real estate idea to somebody who's actually done really well with real estate? Mm-hmm. So sometimes you might be thinking, well, I don't know who those people are. Well, that's what's great, is that if you start looking for those people, you will find those people.
And you're talking about the blueprints in life. He's talking about, this book is a blueprint of somebody that's already gone before, Pastor Craig Groeschel, who's walked people through helping them find their identity to help change habits and systems to actually make a change in their life. Like we've got some real estate stuff that you're working on, right?
Well, it was,
and you didn't ask me. I know, but I was just saying.
It's just an example,
right? But I want them to understand. Like, I love the blueprint idea, because whatever you're looking for to become better in your life, or you're needing advice for, you're needing guidance, you're going to look for somebody who's already done it and has the blueprint to success that you're wanting.
Yes. So I say all of that just to say this. Someone asked me a couple months ago, they're like, who's your mentor? And I kind of rattled off a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I did. I was like, there's a lot of people that we listen to, a lot of people that we look forward to talking to. But when I really sat down and thought about it, and when I opened up this book, I thought, this is like Craig Groeschel for this year is my mentor. Mm-hmm. Like full on, full force. And the reason why is because I look at his life and where he's at today. He's raised 6 amazing kids. He's got a thriving relationship with his wife. Like, he loves his wife. He's worked through a lot with the church. He's grown a gigantic community of people mm-hmm. who are really passionate. And so
he does things with excellence.
He's transformed his fitness. Right. And I mean, from working with him almost 20 years ago to where he's at today, he's only kept the main thing. So right. I've got a lot of respect for him. And so that's why this year it's like, I'm going to read all of his books. I'm going to listen to every leadership podcast. I'm going to listen to every message. I'm going to apply it to my life. I'm going back to the beginning, and I'm going to rework through all the stuff. And so I think the encouragement that I'd have for you today is, as we give you some of the knowledge that comes out of this book, at the end of the day, like, knowledge is great, but you still have to apply it. Yes. You have to take the action, because otherwise you're going to just be getting a bigger brain. Mm-hmm. You have to put it into action.
It's good.
So today's chapter is really, really helpful. I think it's really, really great in becoming who you really are.
I love it. And at any point in time, you can always go to ketomomsecrets.com and go look at the past lives that we've done. So it's our blog, it's our website, click on mindset, and all the books we've done in the last 2 years. So we're diving into the book. We're at chapter 1. It's 1.5. I love it. It's broken up into tiny little pieces we're going to share with you, not read the stories. We're going to give you some highlights.
And somehow all of these lives still end up being 30 minutes.
I know. We always say we're going to do it fast. I know this. All right. Okay. Do you feel called to more? I love this part. Then we'll discuss it. He goes, we live in a culture, more promotions, more money, more square feet, clothing, vacations, followers. But have you noticed how even when you get more, you still want more? God made us for more, but more significant kind of more. So he's talking about who you are becoming. We're talking about your identity. See, like, the reason you are where you are today, it's because of how you see yourself. And you might want more, but if you don't dig into the roots, get out some of the yuck, then we can.
But there's a reason why you're called for more.
Right.
It's because it's innate to you. Like, right. God has given you the ability to dream and to do and to put things into action, because there's things that are inside of you that only you have the ability to make happen. Right. And so that's why it's not like just this random circumstance that you're probably listening to these words at this very given moment. I think, if anything, we're here to remind you that the reason why this is resonating with you is because if you feel like you've been called to do more, it's because you are called to do more. Right. And it's interesting, like, people who are kind of outside of the church world, they're like, I don't like that whole thing. Like, I'm being called. You have to step up and go for it. I couldn't be in more of an agreement. Like, there's a part of it where those desires and those dreams and those ambitions, I believe they're from God, put innately in you to do it. But what happens is so often we're just like, you know what, it's more comfortable on the sidelines to life. Like I almost would rather not make a decision. I'd rather not just do anything. I'd rather just stay in the hypnotic rhythm of life because it's comfortable over here. Mm-hmm. But the reality is like you have to step into that greatness.
You don't have to, but if you choose to, it will be great. There's a lot of people that won't do it.
I would just encourage you, if you keep showing up to this, like
you want to. Yes.
And
if they want more in their life.
But one thing you've learned from your mentor is if you don't have to, like, you can get so overwhelmed with all of the things. Yeah. You have to be obedient with the next step, just the next step. So whatever that is, like if some of you are like, I'm supposed to write this book, the next step is probably setting aside 5 minutes with a pen and a piece of paper or an empty sheet on your note, like on your iPad or on your computer, and you put on the do not disturb and you just start with a little.
Yeah.
For some of you, it's like, all right, I'm running around the same mountain. Like I've got these 50 pounds. I don't like when I jump and when I land, my body keeps moving. Like if that's you, we have to make some changes because you don't want to be in the same spot next year. And I hope you can hear my heart on this because it feels like Walmind's been a minor thing. I've been dealing with it for 18 years. And for the first time, I walked into Stephanie's surprise birthday party surrounded by a lot of stuff that in the past would have truly had me at like a moment of like, oh, and I would always fail.
Yeah.
I would always fall into temptation. And I'm just letting you know, not because I've been doing different things, but because I've been renewing my mind and applying these principles that we're talking about.
Right.
I played full out at the party, but guess what? I didn't have to fall into the cake. I didn't have to fall into the bars. And all that stuff. I think there's times to celebrate. Yeah. But for me, it's like, if I was a crack addict, like Stephanie wouldn't be lining up crack all over the kitchen counter. And I wouldn't be there with my, whatever they have to use. I don't even know. Point being is, you have to put yourself in the right environments and you have to be wise with what you're doing.
It's good. Well, he says most Christians hear that they're called, or if you just feel like I want more, right? But they tend to think about do, not who. So we're going to attempt to change a calling focus on who you are before do. Of course, I have a majority of the chapter underlined and highlighted, but it really just dives in. I know.
That's
well,
okay.
Here's my favorite part. Well, is there anything that you wanted to say?
I've said a lot.
It's talking about
probably overspoke because I'm not 40 yet.
Because we're basically still in chapter 1, just so you know, but it's just little pieces broken up, and it's really honing in on the who you are, the what you're believing, the things that people have spoken over you. The fact that Steve could stand at the cake table with all the bars at the birthday party and not grab something is because he's seeing himself as what he's wanting to see himself in the next year. He goes, I don't want to be that same person. I am, excuse me. What did you tell yourself? I need something to drink.
Okay. So
why did you not grab the cookies?
Because when you get to a point to where you start telling your family, I believe in I am statements, but I would say, hey, I'm going to be in the best shape of my life. Right. Mm-hmm. And then at first they're like, Dad, that's so cool. Dad, that's awesome. Around December, the end of before 2023 started, a friend invited me to run this mud run 15K. And when your entire family is like, Dad, you're wasting your $100. You'll never be able to do that. You're like, it's not about what you say. It's about like what you're modeling to your children. So it kind of got to a point to where it's like when I told Stephanie, she's 40, alive, thriving. She's doing phenomenal in so many different areas of her life. And I'm not that much younger than her, but it's interesting. But I always tell my girls, I'm like, girls, I'm going to be in the best shape of my life by this age. And now what they do is they kind of just chuckle. Because for me, I can do the workouts. We had actually a very serious conversation about just children, I think it's an epidemic of what we're seeing inside of families with children being overweight. And it breaks my heart. Like when you're in your own little small environment and you're kind of surrounded by people, but when you break out of the bubble or when you go to the airport or when you start going to different places, you really start to see how people are hurting. And I don't know. I don't want to get into all of the reasons of why like kids probably are overweight and why a lot of adults are overweight. And you may be looking at me and I'm like, it maybe would be different if like my shirt was like way out to here and it's rolling and all of that. But for me, like I said, my body, I want to treat it like the temple that the Holy Spirit resides in. So I need to take care of it. I don't want to be 55 years old and having a heart attack. Like I want to be the best me that I can be for my family. But I kind of joked about it for a long time because my actions were not lining up, because I really wasn't truly thinking like, oh, I can be somebody who honors my body. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is this making sense?
Yes.
So
is this making sense?
Long tangent. I think the shift is
you're seeing yourself.
I'm seeing myself.
Yes.
And I'm all about the systems and the habits and the cues and all of that kind of stuff, like preparing yourself.
Yeah, it's good.
But it's got to start up here, and it's got to start with a belief. And the reason why is because it's there for a reason. And so our hope is that through the course of this book, and by the time we're done with it, I mean, I'm just going to have physical proof that things are changing in my life.
Right. All right. The entire book is great. I'm going to read just the very end, and then we're going to give you an action step. And he says this. He goes, let's say that you want to lose 15 pounds on your own. That may feel like a goal with much weight. And then that's funny. Haha.
Insert jumping man with the belly.
But if that goal is driven by your who, it's internally significant. Why? Like Steve wants to be the best version of himself because for his kids, for himself. For the long-term goal, to be able to play with our grandkids someday.
Well, and another reason is think about this, like your physical stature makes a difference. When you walk into a room and you're not confident, people can tell that.
Right.
But Craig Groeschel, when he walks into a room, I've listened to so many podcasts where he walks into a room, and because he's physically taking care of his temple appropriately, the first thing people say, like it or not, but they judge people on their outward appearance.
Yeah.
And they're like, my goodness, you're in great shape.
Yeah.
But they don't realize it's through like the boring routine of doing the right things and also knowing who you are.
Right. So, I love that. He says, why do you want to lose the 15 pounds? Because of my who. I am the temple of God. I know I can be more true to my who if I am in better shape physically. Also, God has called me to serve, so I want to have so much energy and strength as possible to faithfully serve Jesus as part of his mission, right? Losing 15 pounds will help me towards that goal. So, do you feel the weight of that? Do you understand, like, whatever you're going after, there's got to be it's got to line up with your who. And we've talked about this a long time. Listen, this is chapter 1. If we can just get this one thought into your mind of who am I becoming? Who am I becoming? And seeing yourself as that person, it's going to help you make the better choices every single day. And you might sit here, Steve said this earlier, you might go, listen, I do want greatness. I do want to achieve whatever's on your vision board. I do want to lose the weight or have a better marriage or help my finances or have a great relationship with my kid. And it might seem so far out there. So you might be going, okay, I get it, but it seems like I can barely see it. I want that identity. And then I would have to say exactly what Steve said. My mentor, Sherry, said this to me years ago. I've always known I've wanted more. I'm not saying more square feet, more cars. I'm saying I knew when we had little babies, when we lived in Oklahoma and he worked for Craig and he worked in the church and I would stay home with our 4 girls and they were little, right? Brand new baby, 18 months old, not even 4, not even 6. And we didn't do a lot, right? We didn't do a lot. I stayed home every single day. We didn't go out to eat. We didn't do anything. And I seriously longed. I've always talked about either writing a book or inspiring women. I remember being like, I want to do more. And I was reading books. And I remember my friend Sherry said, Stephanie, right now, I get it. I would be overwhelmed with the thought of the identity that I wanted. Does this make sense? Yep. And I remember Sherry saying, all right, I love that. Now you need to take the next step. And I was like, and it really resonated with me because I've taken that one phrase and I've taken it into like the last, our youngest girl's 9, so almost 10 years, right? She'll be 10 in May. And I remember thinking, all right, here's something I want to do today. I want I want to go to the gym. I want to do this. And then she would go, what's the next thing you have to do? And then legitimately what happened when I thought that was I had to go change a diaper. I remember where I was in our Oklahoma home. And then I heard the phrase, what's the next thing I have to do? And I had to go, and I got to go take care of our girls. And as I was working towards becoming a better mom, a better me, striving for the things I felt like God placed inside of me, I would hear Sherry's voice go, what's the next thing you have to do? And that might be for you. So you might go, I want to lose 50 pounds. I want to fix my finances. I want to have a better marriage. What's the next thing today that will come up? And it might be, you have to make the best choice possible with the next meal, right? You get to choose to either go to the gym or skip it. The next decision is going to lead you to you becoming that, like seeing yourself there. It might be actually answering the phone call to your spouse instead of ignoring it because you want a better marriage.
It may be that you have to give your friend the Amazon password so you can get your financial reality
because you
like
see
back
yourself
in check.
Being debt free.
Right.
I hope this is making sense. This is about who you want to, who you're becoming. And it's going to ultimately shift those habits, and you'll be able to make those choices day in and day out because you want to be that best version of you.
So good.
All right, there's an action step. So this talked a lot about serving. We kind of skipped a lot of it, but in the action, he says, if you are a believer of Jesus, he wants you to, he says, write down your testimony of how you came to salvation.
That's a fun story.
Yes. He says, list the most significant change that Christ has made in your life since salvation. If you don't have a relationship with Jesus, I'll just tell you this. We talk about the spokes in your life. We talk about your spiritual spoke, your relationships, your work, your physical, and your finances. And if one of the spokes is broken, it usually affects the other spokes. And if you're listening to this and you have no idea, maybe you don't go to a church, you weren't raised in a church, or maybe you were and you were hurt by religion. If you're going, wait, I don't even know what you're talking about, send me a message because I'd love to talk to you more about that. And then he talks about what is your due, your call. I need something to drink. Listen, we started the fireplace yesterday and my body does not like a fireplace.
Yeah, I made a mistake. I started the fire and it just doesn't resonate well. We thought because she's 40, she could do anything. So we're going to be so I just put the fireplace on the TV. So we're just going to do that moving forward. But think about this in your life as well. Like, it's not just about the stuff that you do, but it's about also who you can serve.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of kind of how this wraps up is what is your due and your calling to serve? So think about this. Is there a place that you're supposed to serve that you sense like God has called you to do it, but the opportunity has not come about yet? So think about that in any area of your life. So here's the principle for this entire chapter that we just read through. If your due is about who God wants you to become, sorry, I was just thinking one more thought on the whole serving aspect.
We kind of skipped that part of the book.
But. Yeah, we did. We missed that whole chunk. But
sorry.
Life is too short for you to not truly step into your complete greatness.
Right.
And usually what that looks like is it's not about you. It's about what you can do for the people around you. And it's interesting because it's like a lot of the stuff that the reason why Stephanie works so hard and helps so many people is because she's modeling service to serving others to our children. So sometimes you have to tie not who you are, but what the things that you're doing to the why. So Stephanie doesn't do it for more cars and more clothes and more fill in the blank, more square footage and all that stuff. We've been completely blessed with the hard work. But she does it because she's setting a precedent. She's setting an example. It's about leaving a legacy to our children. That's the reason why you work so hard. Like, I know it is. You're modeling hard work, grit, tenacity, and serving the world for our children.
Yeah.
And they're seeing it. And it's interesting because like a lot of people get overwhelmed. They're like, oh my goodness, Stephanie, you have 1 million followers on Facebook. Like, it's a privilege to be able to help people. And to see the accelerated growth that our children are having on social media with their impact, with the platform on purpose, like It's pretty cool to see that. All right. So hopefully that resonated with somebody, but here's the principle. If your due is about who God wants you to become then who you want to become, then your do is not small. Does that make sense? Did I not read that properly?
Read it again.
Okay. If your do is about who God wants you to become, about who you want to become. That's why I think I'm getting that messed up. God wants you to become about who you want to become. Then your do is not small.
Okay, so the last thing I'll say about that in the book, and the book is incredible. It is not, you can listen to us talk about the very short pieces of it. I would highly recommend grabbing the book, especially if you've not actually reached the goals you're wanting and you've been doing the same thing every year in and year out. In the book, he talked about this. He goes, oftentimes people feel like there's something that you're called, your identity, and you're working on the things that you want to, but you might look at it and go, well, it's not really that big of a deal. You might feel like it's too small. You might feel like, well, Stephanie, Steve said there's 1 million followers on here, but maybe you're like, but wait, I really truly feel called to stay home and homeschool my kids. And like all he's saying is this: there's no small do for God. When you're doing what you legitimately are called to do and you're doing what you see yourself doing, it isn't too small or too big for him. It isn't about somebody looking at you being like, I can't believe you're doing that. That's not about this. It doesn't matter what anybody else says at all. There's no too small identity or too small action for God when you're doing it for him and doing it because of who you are becoming. Does that make sense?
So good. And that's
what it's about.
It always starts with starting.
You know what?
With what you have. And it's typically a little. It's like, what can you work with right now? And it might not be a lot.
And it's legitimately, I'm going to say most of you are here because you're on a KetoMOM page and you think it started with keto. So it's probably you taking control of exactly what he's doing and taking control of your identity in your health area, right? And I would say this, the biggest slip up and the biggest reason why people might fail, I think social media is great. I love that we can come on here and have conversations with you, but this is also the reason that people don't see themselves as worthy or get frustrated or quit because of how easy it is to compare yourself to other people online.
So good.
I love social media. I love that we can reach out to you and have conversations, and I can call some of you and I can get on the phone with you and I can have conversations and legitimately give you some action steps to help you become the best version of you. But it also, if you cannot be on here and if you cannot come on social media and not find yourself comparing or being envious or being jealous or being angry, then you've got to remove yourself from that so you can work on your actual you.
So good.
Right?
Or you need to probably delete a lot of the stuff that's in your feed and start filling it with the things that you want to become in a positive way.
If I follow somebody, and listen, we're all human, and I feel, and it's not even on them. If I get frustrated or angry, or I'm super competitive, so if it's a business thing, if there's certain people that I follow and I actually don't feel peace about it, and it makes me go down a route which I should control, I don't unfriend people. I just don't follow them. Like, I will remove it from my own eyes, knowing that it's not about that person, but it's about me. And if it's not bringing me peace, I'll tell people, if I'm causing you to get angry or frustrated, it really shouldn't be about me, but unfollow me, right? If somebody else is causing you and you're looking at them with jealousy, unfollow them. Don't look at the page. Again, it's not about them, but it's something that you're working through. And so, you just have to control that part of it. That's it.
It's good.
All right. We are chatting a ton, so we're going to let you go. Thank you for tuning in. I feel like that was a lot. That was a big chunk of that little chapter. That was a little chunk, big chunk.
So if this was helpful, thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the thumbs up. If there's somebody that you're like, oh, I really wish they could be hearing this, just tag them down below.
Yeah.
Share this message. It really means a lot to us. If you're like, I can't always catch these in the morning when you do them, just go to Spotify or on podcasts. It's KetoMOM Secrets, but we post so many different episodes to her podcast. Yep. If you've got questions about her mom fuel in the morning, just send her a message. And honestly, we just appreciate you being here. Thank you for the value that you add to the community. If you see people who are leaving messages in the chat down below, don't be afraid to connect with people. That's what this community is all about. It's about being needed and known. And at the end of the day, we're all better together.
Yes. So, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.